Hey, all right, everybody. Welcome to the 48th historic edition of Hangar 18. And I'm fresh back from Dragon Cons. We were just talking about off air a little bit. So I am a little tired still. I think like over the course of Dragon Con, I got like a total like 16 hours of sleep over the 4 days.
Yeah, it wears you out, man.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, driving that huge drive was not exactly fun either. And I also think I'm getting a little bit of cold. I don't want to fucking whine and like bring everybody down, but I'm just trying to say that if I'm not like my normal happy-go-lucky self, that's fucking whine. So there you go. So anyway, I'm just giant fucking stabby face, blue murderous death machine, Thundercracker. With me as always is the Spock to my Kirk, the Southern panty dropper, baritone badass Dreadwind.
Bludgeony faced.
Bludgeony faced baritone badass Dreadwind.
What's up?
All right, so yes, starting up Hangar 18, episode number 48, and as always, we're going to talk about some heavy metal news. Fucking Kurt Loder.
Shit. I think I know what's on your docket.
Fucking A, you do. And then boom ba doom ba doom boom boom ba boom ba doom boom 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 boom. What do you mean? Okay, that's enough of that. All right, my heavy metal news. I just want to say, fuck you to these people. Fuck you, and fuck you, these people.
Yeah.
Calgary police.
Yep.
If your child listens to heavy metal music, they might be a neo-Nazi. Fuck you. Fuck you. You know what else they might be? They also might be an investment broker. They might be the president of the United States. They might be an astronaut. They might be a fucking astrophysicist. Fuck off with that shit. Here's somebody says, Calgary police is shedding light in the wrong direction. The police issued a leaflet titled The Signs of Being Part of a Hate Group. They included some basic misnomers like shows a lack of interest in school, staying out late, changing their appearance, and perhaps the most offensive of all, playing loud, heavy music with violent lyrics. Fuck you. I'm sorry, but fuck you. I mean, how many millions of kids listen to heavy metal, and how many of them are, white supremacists? I mean,
out of millions of kids, I would say probably less than 1%.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to way less than 1%. So, I mean, and yes, I get it. There are, in fact, sections of heavy metal that are, hate-filled, right? There are hate bands like Fight and all that, like fucking super hate-filled shit, white nationalist stuff. But like, everybody hates those people anyway. If you go and ask, even Phil Anselmo, if you ask him what he thinks about that hate-filled music, and he's going to say, fuck those people. Right? They're roundly condemned. And Canada's bad enough to start with, right? Because it seems like they're they're like running like hell to be fucking Stalingrad 1946. So this ain't fucking helping, right?
I read that list too, and like half of the list is like normal teenager behavior.
Right, let's read the list. Sudden lack of interest in school. Okay.
Teenager, yeah.
Who hasn't done that before? Adopting new groups of friends and staying out late without any explanation.
Teenagers, yeah.
Violence or secretive behavior.
Okay, violence, maybe.
Yeah. Overt hostility to parents and family. Disobedience and rudeness.
Every teenager ever.
Yeah. Okay, I was rude at dinner, and then all of a sudden I thought, hey, there are some good ideas in Mein Kampf. Fuck off. Where the fuck are you getting this shit? Racist graffiti, drawings, and doodling. Okay, that one might be a little warning sign. Playing loud, heavy music with violent lyrics. Fuck you.
No.
Stereotyping and scapegoating certain groups, name-calling, racial and religious slurs in conversations at all times. Okay, that one they got a point. Making racist and bigoted comments about minorities, immigrants, and foreigners. They got a point there.
Mm-hmm.
A marked repugnance to consider certain ethnic or religious groups as fully Canadian or even human. Okay, they got a point there.
Mm-hmm.
Wearing or displaying Nazi propaganda and symbols such as swastikas or the Iron Cross and or military clothing and or paraphernalia. Okay, the Iron Cross and swastikas, they got a point. The military clothing and paraphernalia, fuck you again.
Right, and I'm thinking that maybe dressing as a neo-Nazi might be number one on your list.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fucking having a swastika might, that might rank up there.
That might be a clue as opposed to, just not listening to your parents.
And again, the last one is changing their appearance. I mean, I've known people who have like all of a sudden shaved their head or all of a sudden dyed their hair. It doesn't mean
my wife changes her hair color every 3 weeks.
I mean, it doesn't mean that they all of a sudden fucking suck Joseph Goebbels' dick, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, this whole thing has pissed me off shockingly. I know some people who read my rant about it might have been like, whoa. But it just really it's just culture war bullshit is all that is, you know?
Yeah.
So the Calgary police can suck my dick is all I'm trying to say. That's it for me. What was your heavy metal news?
Totally with you on that one. All right, my news. Facebook is reportedly in talks with record labels to buy rights to tons of music. Oh. And here's what this is going to entail. Getting your video on Facebook taken down for copyright infringement regarding the song that you used is pretty standard right now, but that could possibly be a thing of the past. Facebook Incorporated is currently offering major record labels and music publishers hundreds of millions of dollars so the users of its social network can legally include songs and videos that they upload, according to people who are familiar with the matter. So if this is true, that would be actually be a good thing. Facebook has been promising to build a system that would tag any videos, but it will take a while. So they're looking to quite literally own the music. This way nobody's infringing on copyright. So from the initial reading of the article, it seems like it's a promising thing.
Yeah, but here's I got three things about that.
Mm-hmm.
One, when you read something like that and you're like, wow, that seems like a pretty good idea. Normally what it is they're putting KY around your sphincter.
I keep looking for the catch, and I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
My number two thing about that is I have this dreadful feeling that they're going to buy like rights to nothing but like Katy Perry, Nicki Minaj, and like if you want something off of a metal, something off of Metal Blade Records or Century Records, you're not going to have it,
right?
Because they're only going to do pop bullshit.
Yeah.
And my third thing is I understand if somebody has a video where it's just an entire heavy metal song and they just put it up there as their Facebook Live. I get that might be a little bit of copyright infringement. But if you have 10 seconds of a song, come on.
Yeah.
Or if like the song's playing in the background at somebody's birthday party. I mean, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. The big thing with me too is being a guitar player. A lot of people love to video themselves playing along with a song.
Yeah.
So they're playing their guitar along with a recorded song. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no copyright infringement going on with that. They're just playing along to the song and videoing it so that they can share with people and say, hey, look, I learned how to play the song. Check it out. And that's not okay. They're taking those things down because it infringes on copyright. And
that's
stupid. But the thing with this article with Facebook, like I said, it looks promising, but they're spending a ton of money to do this. And anytime they spend a lot of money, they're going to want to make it back. So it's going to be monetized somehow.
Yeah, you might have to go to like an upgrade version of Facebook, like Facebook Blue,
Facebook Prime,
or something. Yeah, totally.
Who knows?
All right. Yeah. Well, that was depressing as fuck. Our new segment this week was depressing as fuck. So let's get into our reviews. And we did something. I should say I did something because I chose the songs this week.
Mm-hmm.
I did something a little bit special this week. We had already done an Iron Maiden show, so I figured, hey, why not? Let's do a Megadeth show because I know Dreadblend and I are both really big fans of Megadeth.
Yep.
And if you're, I don't know, I hate to say if you're a real metalhead, you're a fan of Megadeth, but I mean, come on, Megadeth is like Metal 101.
Yeah, right? If you're a real metalhead, you're at least aware of Megadeth. I know, not everybody likes every band, but yeah, you should at least be aware of them.
I mean, I've heard people say like, "Oh yeah, I don't know if I'd like the same stuff you guys do because my favorite bands are like Disturbed and Slipknot and Five Finger Death Punch, and I don't even really like Megadeth." I'm like, why? what? Were you standing too close to the fucking microwave in the '90s? What the fuck happened to you? Don't like Megadeth? What? I mean, at least like Symphony of Destruction. How can you not fucking listen to that song and not like it? I mean, huh?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Anyway, let's get into our.
That's almost like their Inner Sandman song.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. I'm glad you keep me around for something. All right.
Yeah.
I went in chronological order and I took out one song, which I sometimes it was like a pretty popular song, sometimes not. And I think I fucked up and redid a song we've covered before, but we'll find out. So anyway, our first song is Rattlehead. And it's from, although, by the way, Megadeth was formed in LA, California in 1983, and pretty much Megadeth formed out of the ashes of the relationship between Lars Ulrich, James Hetfield, and Dave Mustaine.
Yeah.
That's how we have Megadeth. And thankfully that happened because they're two great bands. Well, they're two great bands with some of their older stuff. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Because both of them have new stuff. Not for me. But so anyway, Megadeth, LA, California, 1983. This is from their album Killing Is My Business, and Business Is Good, released in 1985. Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good is the debut album of the American thrash metal band Megadeth, released on June 12, 1985 by the independent record label Combat Records. You don't hear much about Combat Records anymore, do you?
No.
And why don't you hear much about Combat Records? Because they decided to get rid of Megadeth, which probably wasn't a brilliant idea. At the beginning of 1985, the band was given $8,000 by Combat to record and produce its debut album after spending half the album's budget on drugs, alcohol, and food. The band was forced to fire their original producer and produce the album themselves. Despite the resulting poor production, the album was well-received efforts that obtained strong reviews in various music publications. Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good played an essential role in establishing thrash metal as an authentic subgenre of heavy metal music. It explores themes of death, violence, and occultism. And like all that I took from Wikipedia, right? Here's the only part that I wrote. The guitar is blistering throughout the entire song, and the singing is anguished, angry, and fast. It's typical. It's like textbook Dave Mustaine. It's like, meow, meow, meow. He always does. Mm-hmm. It just sounds like he's mad.
Yeah.
The permanent brain damage you get from headbanging to this song so furiously is totally worth it for Megadeth. And of course, they have nice, crisp, razor-sharp guitar solos. And that's how pretty much all of Megadeth's solos are like those, like super technical, super crisp, super razor-sharp. That's like their trademark, like the super technical guitar.
Yeah.
Because like Dave's like big guitar guy. I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm thinking Dave Mustaine's probably a better guitar player than Hetfield. Because he was the original lead guitarist of Metallica. But what you can do. And also, the lyrics are amazing. Because and this is what introduced us to Vic, right?
Yeah.
Who's like the guy, right? He's right up there with Eddie the Head, right?
Vic Rattlehead, actually.
Yeah, Vic Rattlehead, right? I used to have a shirt that was like the anatomy of Vic. It was like my only blue shirt that I had. And it had like Vic's head, and it would like point out like various things, like an anatomical drawing. Anyway, the lyrics are amazing, and the tempo changes are great. I give Megadeth's Rattlehead an 8.0. Dreadman.
Yeah, this is they had Kerry King for a little while in an early incarnation of Megadeth before the album came out.
I did not even know that.
Yeah, he played like 2 shows, I think, with them before they settled on Chris Poland as the permanent guitar player. But yeah, he was almost in Megadeth, and just like how James originally did not want to sing for Metallica, but ended up doing it anyway because they couldn't find anybody they liked, Dave also did not originally want to sing for Megadeth. He just wanted to play guitar, and he tried to get Sean Harris, who was the lead singer from Diamond Head.
Oh yeah,
to sing for him.
I mean, that would have been okay, but that wouldn't have been Megadeth.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been the same. But Dave being a huge Diamond Head fan, that was like one of his big, huge, major influences coming up.
Yeah, I think like all those big 4 are giant Diamond Head fans.
Yeah. He tried to get him, but it didn't work out. So he ended up singing himself, and then the rest is history, as they say. So super, super fast guitars. I always looked at this song as like Dave's version of Whiplash.
Yeah, a couple people said that in the comments too.
Kind of has the same vibe as Whiplash. The one thing about this album, it does suffer from poor production quality. But on top of that, I find that some of these songs, it seems like Dave was trying to really be faster than everybody else, like just going out there and playing as fast as he can,
Yep, totally.
blistering faster than everybody else. And I think sometimes some of the riffs would normally be really good riffs if you'd slowed it down just a bit. So I think some of the riffs kind of suffered a little bit from just him going, balls out 10,000 miles an hour all the time.
Hey, you want to say one thing about balls out? It doesn't mean what a lot of people think it means, right? It doesn't mean like you have your balls hanging out, right? What it means is like they had these things like they were on steam engines and they were speed regulators, right? Speed governors. And what they were is they were like these ball things, and it would spin along with the motor. And like the faster it spun, the further the balls would come out on these little speed things. And like when the balls were all the way out, it would slow the motor down. So that's what balls out means.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I learned that from Jay Leno.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Go ahead.
All right. So back to Rattlehead. Still, the breakdown's really cool. The vocal melody following it is really, really good. His lyrics, I've always been impressed with Dave's lyrics. He's a great lyric writer.
Totally.
And that stays true throughout everything. This is a pretty good, solid song. Give it an 8.0 also.
All right. Fuck symbiotic, motherfucker. All right, now we're going to Devil's Island. Devil's Island. Okay. Devil's Island is off of Peace Sells, But Who's Buying? Released in 1986. Good year, by the way. That's the release of the Transformers movie. The only one, you fucks. Don't even say, well, what about fucking the last butt fuck? No. 1986, the only one. Okay. The opening music is like something from a chorus of demons bent on conquering heaven and molesting all of the angels in a giant gay orgy of apocalyptic destruction.
Wow. Surprisingly accurate.
or like someone opened the door to a hellish prison. Maybe that's what they had in mind. The bass line gives way to Mustaine's signature tortured singing voice and lyrics about the awful conditions of the prison. The solo at 2 minutes 45 seconds is exactly the final absolution I would want administered to me just before they executed me, because it is fucking badass. One thing I notice on this song is the drums have kind of a hollow production to them. It almost sounds like a later Metallica drums a little bit. I mean, not like totally like that, but it just has that like hollow, kind of chime to it that, I don't really like that much. But anyway, Devil's Island is, of course, a reference to the former French penal colony. Penal colony. Off the coast of French Guyana. The lyrics detail the thoughts of a prisoner who is awaiting execution. He is spared by God, but must spend the rest of his life on the island. And I think that's like, the dichotomy of the situation. Is it better to just go ahead and die or spend the rest of your life in agony, right?
Right.
Peace sells, but who's buying? That actually like goes up back to that, right? Like Peace, he would have their death, sells, but he's not buying it. He gets spared. So is the second. Oh. Yeah, see, I linked that right back up there. Peace sells the second studio album in major label debut by the American thrash metal band Megadeth, released on September 19th, 1986 by Capitol Records. The project was originally handled by Combat Records, resulting in the first mix of the album being co-produced by Randy Burns, whoever the fuck that is. Capitol Records then bought the rights to the album and hired another producer, Paul Lanny, whoever the fuck that is, to mix it himself. And these guys are probably like huge names in the heavy metal business. I just don't know.
Yeah.
The recording of the album was difficult for the band because of the ongoing drug issues the members had at the time. And Dave Mustaine was kind of a druggie.
Yeah, he wasn't the only one either.
I mean, he never met like a bottle or a line or a needle that he didn't like. This is the last Megadeth album to feature Gar Samuelson and guitarist Chris Poland, which is a shame. Really is. They were fired shortly after the album's promotional tour for drug abuse, which gets me though that Dave stayed. I mean, I guess Dave is Megadeth, but
what happened with Gar in particular was he found out Gar ended up stealing some of the band's equipment and selling it to pay for his drugs.
Oh, that's good.
So that kind of did it for him, yeah.
All right, the title track, noted for its politically conscious lyrics, which If you ever heard Peace Elephant Who's Buying, it like pretty much rings true to this day.
Yeah.
Was released as the album's lead single, and everybody knows when that fucking bass line comes along what's happening. Every metalhead knows anyway. Devil's Island, I really like the song. I think this is the one that we've done before, so I give it an 8.5.
Yeah, this one, Devil's Island, opens with an ominous riff that sounds like classic Megadeth.
You mean what you mean to say by that is demons fighting angels in a giant gay orgy, right?
Gay orgy, yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is the album that I feel like they really settled into their sound and style.
Yeah, broke through totally. Yep.
Yeah, blistering solos, thumping bass lines, catchy riffs and hooks, and of course Dave's distinct vocals. The first time I heard this album, the tone of the music with the echo effect on the vocals that he has going on and the dark lyrics, it all came together and made me feel like I was listening to a soundtrack for a real life horror movie about satanic rituals and mass murder.
Ooh, I like it.
A lot of it like they were like, because of the way the lyrics are written, he does such a good job. A lot of them feel like they're firsthand accounts, you know?
No, yeah, totally. They do. They definitely do. You know, you ever think that like there's like a slow doomy hell for Black Sabbath and like a super fast hell for Megadeth?
Maybe so.
Just fuck with that.
The riff around 4 minutes is just awesome, kick ass, and the whole song is just a kick ass song. It's a kick ass album. I give this one an 8.5.
Oh, look at that. Symbiotic again.
Yeah.
God damn. All right, let's go into the lungs of hell. I love that name of that, right?
Instrumental.
That's like you take a big fucking bong rip and you're into the lungs of hell. Right? And the album is So Far, So Good, So What? 1988. And from their early stuff, a lot of people condemn this as the worst of their early albums. But, you know, and I'm kind of, it is kind of the worst of their early stuff. But, I mean, the early stuff is so good. Like, even the worst of it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
This song is one of the most interesting openings I've ever heard with a metal song with the horns, which apparently I thought that
I don't think that was on the original.
It was, and he added that later. But the horns part, right? Like I thought that like saxophones and shit were brass, but I guess not. I guess they're all woodwinds. But I don't know. I always thought those things were brass instruments because they're made of brass. I guess they're woodwinds.
Well, no. A saxophone is technically a woodwind instrument because it uses a wood reed.
Right. I get that, but I mean, it's
whereas a trumpet has an actual brass piece that you put
right.
into.
I get that, but I mean, it's like the instrument's like 99.9% brass.
Yeah, I know, but they just refer to the part you.
I get you, but I mean, so you can see where I would be confused as a layperson.
Yeah.
Anyway, then it goes into that fucking tornado of a riff. That's just like that riff is like I fucking half expect like the Wicked Witch to come by on her bike and be like, "Fuck you, my pretty, we're going to fucking into the lungs of hell," right? Yeah, because it's badass. Anyway, of course, a lot of people were complaining in the comments about the updated mix, but I do not find it jarring at all in this particular instance. Yes, some of the songs he fucked up. This one, I don't think so. I think it actually adds to it. I think that sometimes people get so used to hearing something a certain way that they resist hearing a new version of it. And I say that fully conscious of my hatred for Bayformers and anything rebooted pretty much. So yes, I'm going to be a hypocrite and say that I actually like this updated version, this particular one. So Far, So Good, So What? Stylized as So Far, So Good, So What? Is the third studio album by the American thrash metal band Megadeth, released on January 19th, 1988 by Capitol Records. It is the band's only album recorded with drummer Chuck Baylor and guitarist Jeff Young, both of whom were immediately fired afterwards at subsequent tour.
Yeah.
That's always good. Hey, by the way, you're gone. I think this whole album's like 38 minutes long, so, they didn't play much. So Far, So Good, So What features music performed at very fast tempos with technical ability lyrically. What? Okay. Technical ability, lyrical frontman and guitarist Dave Mustaine addresses a variety of topics including nuclear holocaust and freedom of speech. which is right there, probably a nail in its coffin as far as the snowflakes today listening to it. I don't really particularly like Freedom of Speech. But anyway, Megadeth Into the Lungs of Hell. It's not the greatest Megadeth song of all time, but it's not the worst. I give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I want to say, and I could be mistaken on this, but I want to say the drummer, Chuck Bueller, or whatever his name is.
Bueller?
I want to say he was Gar's drum tech.
Oh.
And that's how he got him into the band. And then I think...
So he evolved like a Pokemon?
Kind of. And then I think after he fired him, I want to say Nick was like a roadie or drum tech or of some sort.
Nick Menza?
I think so. I think that's how he found him too. I could be wrong on that one.
Me running.
I know one of them was a drum tech for somebody. I can't remember the order of. I know it was either Chuck was Gar's drum tech or Nick was Chuck's drum tech. One of the two. So yeah, interesting. Anyway, Into the Lungs of Hell. Once the music actually kicks off, I have the original version. I don't have the remastered version of this album. So the trumpet thing I didn't like. I could have done without that. I like the original intro. But once the actual music kicks in, it kicks off with a killer solo and continues to assault your eardrums with a sonic arsenal of guitar work. The whole feeling of the song builds and builds as it just continues to take you to a tense crescendo before blasting into darkness and leads you right into the radio opening of the following song, the nuclear anthem Set the World Afire, possibly the best song on the album.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Along with In My Darkest Hour, which is actually Dave wrote In My Darkest Hour as a tribute to Cliff Burton. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah. 7.5 on this one for the
fucking Symbiotic again.
Intro.
That's 3 in a row.
Scary.
It is scary.
I think it's gonna be 4 in a row too.
Megadeth, Lucretia, from the album Rust in Peace, 1990. Exactly what I was gonna say. Holy fuck! As soon as you hear that laugh, you know you're about to have your ass kicked. As soon as you hear that, you're like, "Oh shit, here we go." Because that's so great. That everything the Five Magics. I just can't say enough about fucking Rust in Peace. And everybody who says, "Oh no, Countdown to Extinction," no.
No.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
Countdown's good.
But it's not Rust in Peace. All right.
But it's not, yeah.
Holy fuck, as soon as you hear that laugh, you know you're about to have your ass kicked. I love how the stanza portion is broken into an ascending jaunt, followed by a double bass guitar blast. The sharp guitars that separate sections are easily my favorite part of the song. They have that little, it's like a little transition riff that they do. It's really good. It's probably one of the worst songs on a masterpiece of an album, which makes it still fucking an amazing song. The solo is goddamn amazing, but it almost doesn't seem to fit with the song because it's a couple of octaves higher and never really comes back down to where the whole rest of the song sits. There's no, it's like solos. A lot of times they'll go and then they'll go up to the solos and they'll go back down into the song, but not this. They just they just start off high and stay high. That's it. Rust in Peace is the 4th studio album by American thrash metal band Megadeth. Released September 24th, 1990 by Capitol. Think about that for a second. We're talking about albums released 3 decades ago. Following the departure of band members Jeff Young and Chuck Baylor in 1989, Rust in Peace was the first album to feature guitarist Marty Friedman and drummer Nick Menza. So here you have, in my opinion, Megadeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rust in Peace received universal acclaim from fans and critics, as it should, and was responsible for bringing Megadeth to the attention of mainstream metal audience. And I always remember in my my 9th grade science class, which I would have been 1992, my science teacher had a poster of the toxic sign, the Megadeth toxic thing with the 3 prongs to it. He had it sitting right above his chalkboard, which is great because he's a fucking high school science teacher. So, I mean, he was a dick otherwise, but at least he had good taste in music. Anyway, it has been cited as one of the best thrash metal records of all time by publications such as Decibel and Kerrang! And is listed as one of the top 1001 albums you must hear before you die, and was nominated for a Grammy only nominated, which is dumb,
Yeah.
for best metal performance for the 33rd Grammy Awards. I forget who won it, but I mean, I think in this case they were actually good too. I think it was like Ozzy or something. So yeah. Anyway, Megadeth, Lucretia, I give it 10 because it's fucking awesome song.
Yeah, it starts with a creepy laugh, and then the masterpiece just takes shape.
Yep.
God, this whole album, I can't even begin to describe. Easily one of the top greatest metal albums of all time.
Yep.
I don't know if there's a single bad note on the entire thing. Seriously. Absolutely amazing guitar work all the way through. Dave's vocals are strong, amazing bass, amazing drums. The guitar work, it especially on this song too. The whole album really, but the guitar work's so intricate. I mean that little opening riff that they start with, it's like,
that one.
Yeah, like, how do you remember how to play all of that stuff? Because it's like 20,000 notes and you're changing. It's just awesome.
You have to play it about 75 million times.
Yeah, probably so. I mean, it's just constant riff change after riff change, and it's great guitar work. First time I heard this album, this was my introduction to Megadeth. So like at this point, I was a little youngin', just getting into heavy metal, and my introduction to heavy metal was Metallica with Master of Puppets and Ride the Lightning. So that was kind of my bar, like that was the bar that was set for me, right? And then I got this album, and all I knew at this point was that the guy, like I didn't even know his name, the guy in Megadeth used to be in Metallica, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I was like, oh, good. I want to check these guys out. I thought they kind of sound a little bit like Metallica. No, they don't.
No, nothing like Metallica.
First time I heard this album, I was like, holy shit. These guys they're not just a clone of Metallica. They had their own distinct band with their own distinct style. And I always looked at this as like Dave writes intelligent metal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even the music, especially on this album, even the music, and the lyrics, it's just, it came across to me as intelligent metal.
You know, I totally see that. It's like Metallica's like the Wheel of Fortune in metal, and maybe that's like Jeopardy in metal.
Yeah. I guess that's a good way of putting it. But if you really sit down and listen to it, that these guys are, they're not dumb.
No, they're totally talented musicians.
Right? Yeah. So it's just great stuff. I give it a 10 also. The whole freaking album is amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I would give it less than a 10 to anything off of Rust in Peace.
I don't think I could do that either.
All right. Let's move on. Okay. Now, they followed up Rust in Peace with Countdown to Extinction in 1992. Now, not as good. Still pretty good. The song I chose off of
Countdown to Extinction was probably a better commercial success.
Oh, totally better commercial success based on Symphony of Destruction alone.
Yeah, but
I mean, that was like they played that as much as they played one on MTV, right?
Yeah.
The song I chose off of Countdown was Architecture of Regression, because I think it's like one of the not so much listened to songs. They had this little machine gun orchestra in the beginning with like, I don't know what, it's like maybe a synthesizer. They're going wah, wah, and they have machine guns on top of that, which is pretty cool. It's a fantastic build-up to that badass riff with Mustaine giving battle orders in the form of scathing lyrics on top. My favorite lyric out of this song, it's probably one of my favorite lyrics out of all heavy metal, is when he says, one side of his face a kiss, the other genocide. Right? That like perfectly sums up a lot of world leaders, right? They're, they're all peace and hey, we're going to do great. And then, they're all about power and the military industrial complex, right?
Yep.
It's hard to hear, but at one point there's a jet fighter engine, and it happens just before one of the solos, which is apropos because it is like a fucking guided missile smart bomb solo. I mean, it's just so precise and so awesome. Countdown to Extinction is, of course, the 5th studio album by American thrash metal band Megadeth, released July 14th, 1992 through Capitol Records, and that was the summer before my high school year. It was the group's second studio to release, to feature the classic lineup of Mustaine, Friedman, Ellefson, and Minzen, which I call Megadeth. With all of them contributing to the songwriting of the album features some of the band's best-known songs, such as Symphony of Destruction, amazing song Sweating Bullets, amazing song Skin of My Teeth, amazing song, which enjoyed significant chart success and made great musical impact. I got to tell you, I know a lot of bands point to Countdown as like one of their big influences, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I don't know, Master of Reality type deal for people. But anyway, I give Architecture of Aggression a 9.5. And really, probably one of the only reasons I knock them a little bit is that like outro where they got like the radio chatter. I wasn't a really big fan of that, but you know. So that's my 9.5 drive.
Yeah, it starts with a gunfire like you talked about. Heavy ass rhythm on this song.
Yeah.
Foreclosure of a Dream was another popular song off that album too.
High Speed Dirt.
High Speed Dirt, another good one. Skydiving.
Yeah.
It's another great album, but I think the problem I have with this album compared to Rust in Peace is this one feels a bit more sterile to me.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. It feels like overproduced a little bit.
Overproduced, over-refined almost, you know.
Not raw, right. Yep.
Yeah. And not that Rust in Peace is raw, because I mean if you really want to talk raw, that would be
anything before Rust in Peace?
Like, yeah, Killing Is My Business. That's raw, you know. So I mean Rust in Peace is still refined, it's still produced well, but I think with Countdown they just took it a step too far and it just came out kind of sterile, you know.
It's their Black album. Yep.
Yeah. But still it features amazing guitar work throughout. Again, amazing bass and drums. There's a good bass line in this one, and Dave of course continues with very intelligent, well-written lyrics. Yep. Again, this album is full of great lyric content.
And even funny ones too, because like the your ass better belong to Jesus.
Yeah, that one.
Your soul better belong to Jesus because your ass belongs to me. That's
the ass belongs to me. Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, hello me, meet the real me. Yeah, great. I've always loved Dave's sense of humor. He's got, you know, he's able to throw that sense of humor in along with intelligent lyrics like that. And I like how he does get political, but most of the time, I'd say 99% of the time, it's a very broad, open to interpretation.
Right. I happen to know what Dave's political leanings are, and I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
He means the exact same way I do.
Yeah, he does a good job of not singling out a specific like political party or something like that, but just kind of pointing things out in general and saying, you know, kind of like, here's a situation, maybe we should do something about it, type of thing, you know, which I've always liked. Anyway, I like this song too. Not my favorite, but it's still a good solid song. I'll give it a 9.0.
All right, well, we missed our fucking symbiotic, broke our chain there. Not by much. All right, our next song is from Euthanasia, and it always amuses me how people are like, they spelled that wrong. I think that was probably intentional.
Yeah.
So anyway, Euthanasia, 1994, and the song is called "To Them All," which is, you know, a great song. The opening is about the most somber thing I could ever imagine coming out of Megadeth. I mean, it's like totally 180 from like normally Megadeth's like. This is like, you know, it's just like totally not in their character. Even the solo is toned down and less high pitched than usual Megadeth is. The French portion of the song is translated as "To everyone, to all my friends, I love you, I have to leave." The music video for "To Them All" was banned from MTV, who claimed it was pro-suicide. Guess what, MTV? You're fucking retarded, and no, it was not pro-suicide. However, in an interview conducted around 1994, Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine stated the following, and I quote, "It's not a suicide song. What it is, it's you. It's when people have a loved one that dies and they end on a bad note. You know, they wish they could say something to them. So this is an opportunity for the deceased to say something before they go. It was my impression of what I would like to say to people. If I had to say 3 seconds to do so in life before I die, I'd say to the entire world, to all my friends, I love you all, and now I must go. These are the last words I'll ever speak, and they'll set me free." It's kind of exactly what he says in the song.
Yeah.
I don't have to say I'm sorry. I don't have to say I'm going to miss you or I'll wait for you. You know, I just wanted to say that I love you all. Good, bad, indifferent. I love you all. Which is pretty succinct, you know, summation of the song, shockingly, since he wrote it. Right?
Imagine that. He actually means what he says in the song.
Yeah, right. You know, who'd have thunk? Yeah, and his lyrics are meaningful, unlike a lot of, you know, today's song lyrics are like, ass, fuck it, ass, fuck it. That could be a fucking song right there. All right, anyway, Euthanasia is the sixth studio album by the American thrash metal band Megadeth, released November 1st, 1994. That would have been my junior year of high school in Capitol Records.
That's the year I graduated.
You old fuck. The album is not a large stylistic departure from the band's earlier recordings. Well, it is in the case of everything before Countdown to Extinction, because Euthanasia sounds a lot like Countdown to Extinction Part 2.
Yeah.
It marked a continuing evolution of Megadeth following the footsteps of the previous album, Countdown to Extinction. The album's title is a play on words, implying that society is euthanizing its youth, which that theme right there is pretty prevalent throughout heavy metal, right? Like the whole youth are expendable. Like, hey, Expendable Youth by Slayer.
Yeah.
The cover art features an elderly woman hanging babies by their feet on a seemingly endless clothesline, which again, that's, you know, hey, you're getting rid of the youth. The artwork's concept was directly inspired by the line from the title track. Anyway, a tout le monde, I give it 9.0. I'm a fan of this song. Trevor.
Yeah, you know how they did the babies? They said that the photographer just had them like on a blank white sheet.
Yeah.
Just laid them down
They
and took
green
a
screened them
picture.
in.
Yeah, took a picture from above, and then they just superimposed over the thing to make it look like they were hanging. That's awesome.
I did know that, and here's why I know that, because I have a whole like VHS tape of the making.
I have the same tape.
And is that the one where he's in the class with the kids and he says, "We're gonna get cookies"? Yep, that's the one.
Yes.
And then they do the photo shoot with Ross Halflin in it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, fair enough.
Yep.
That's sweet. We got
Marty Friedman pulls out a guitar. He's like, "Shh, don't tell anyone. Look, this looks like a coffee table. it's not very metal, but it sounds great." Yeah. This song, very different take from Megadeth. Like you said, the acoustic guitar intro and Dave actually singing for a change.
And he can sing.
Yeah, he does a good job with it. He really did a good job. Guitars kick in to add a little heavy flavor, but the tempo continues at a slow pace on this song. This is a slower tempoed song, but it's become a bit of a classic among Megadeth fans. It shows off a bit of versatility from the usual faster, more intricate stuff that you're normally used to hearing from them. Interesting fact too is during the recording process, Dave brought in a French translator in order to get the phrasing and pronunciation correct for the chorus.
Yeah, he actually changed it up a little bit what he was originally going to say too, because that was also in that VHS video.
Yeah. He wanted to make sure he actually got it right. So, you know, kudos to him for taking the effort to do that. And this was recorded in Arizona.
Oh.
They had
was it in Megadeth, Arizona?
Yes, actually, this was the start of Megadeth Arizona. They wanted to get out of LA, and I think Dave had just recently moved to Phoenix at that point, and they decided just to record there. So they actually built the studio that they ended up recording in for this, and then they brought in, I think it was Max Norman was the producer, if I remember correctly, for this one. So yeah. If I remember my video facts correctly, a 9.0 on this one too. It's a great song. They also did a duet with the chick from Lacuna Coil.
I think her name was Lacuna Coil chick.
She did a duet with him for this song.
Hey, we're symbiotic on that one too. So now we're like what, fucking 5 or 6 or something.
Something like that.
All right, Mastermind from Cryptic Writings. Okay. I think this is one of those great hidden treasures, quote unquote, of Megadeth that virtually no one outside of hardcore Megadeth fans know about. I heard this song live once, and I was instantly hooked because the bass guitar in the song, it just made my whole chest rattle, like involuntarily. To me, the song is an indictment of the mainstream media with refrains like, I'll tell you what to think, I'll tell you what to feel, I'll tell you what is real. The solo is goddamn amazing, which leads right into, wait for it, another amazing solo. That's pretty also standard Megadeth too. We'll like have a solo right after a solo. Cryptic Writings is the 7th studio album by the thrash metal band Megadeth, released June 17, 1997. That was my first year of community college. Through Capitol Records, it was the band's last studio album to feature the drummer Nick Menza. His departure would mark the end of the band's longest-lasting lineup, having recorded to date 4 studio albums. Megadeth decided to produce the album with Dan Huff in Nashville, Tennessee, because they were not satisfied with their previous producer, Max Norman. There you go, Max Norman.
There you go, Max Norman.
The album features 12 tracks with accessible song structures specifically aimed for radio airplay. Lyrics were also altered in order to make the music more inclusive to a wider audience. The changes were met with mixed opinions from music critics who noted the band moving away from their thrash metal roots. It is definitely not a thrash metal album, that's for sure.
Yep.
But anyway, I really like Mastermind, and basically it's because of that that fucking bass line. I really, really love that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I like the song overall. I give it a 9.0. Good.
Wow. Well, we're going to diverge on this one because I'm not a big fan of this. I'm just not a big fan of this album in general. Now, this is one of the better songs on the album. I'll give it that. But definitely, this was definitely where you could see the change in direction, where they were starting to make that change. And a lot of that was, I think, Marty influenced, and I can hear it in part of this song too, which I'm going to comment on. But as far as the song itself, you got strong bass line opening, which is really great. The bass line's awesome. Classic Megadeth riff that kicks off, that's awesome too. I'm not a big fan of the extra vocals that he throws in during the chorus part.
Yep.
You know, I just wasn't quite a big fan of that. The rhythm changed at 2 minutes. It was a pretty cool change up. Here's where I was talking about earlier with the change in style. The second guitar solo, it's a good solo, but it didn't quite feel like it fit the song very well, because it sounds like Marty playing, and that solo has much more of a kind of straightforward bluesy rock and roll feel to it, rather than the more technical stuff that you're used to hearing in previous albums. You know, usually in like Rust in Peace and even Countdown, you have these really technical guitar solos with intricate, exotic scales and, different runs and patterns and all like that. Whereas this solo was much more stripped down, bare bones, kind of like something you would hear from Guns N' Roses.
Oh, okay.
Which to me just doesn't fit Megadeth. That's not their style. And I remember seeing Marty left the band not long after this album. I think the next album was the last album he was on. And he was really pushing for a more radio-friendly, alternative type sound and style, which is what led to the next song that we're going to review in a minute. But what was really telling to me was after he left Megadeth, he went to Japan. And he actually became a TV personality in Japan. I think we talked about this one time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, and there's one show that I actually got to watch. You can look it up on YouTube. And it was Marty Friedman, whatever show that he was hosting. Special guest was Paul Gilbert, awesome guitar player from Racer X and various other bands. And they did this kind of a contest game thing between the two of them, where they both had the guitars, and they had to play like a riff of a song from a band starting from each letter of the alphabet. So they'd go down the alphabet and start with A, and then they would pick a band. They could pick whatever band they wanted, and they had to play a riff, right?
I see. Yeah.
So they go through the entire alphabet, and they're both doing this. And what was so telling about that was the band choices that Marty made, because they were all, like, none of them were metal.
I got you.
None of them. They were all like Pearl Jam and just, yeah, not metal at all. Even when they got to M, and you figure, all right, here we go, Marty, he's at M, pull out a Megadeth riff. No.
Wow,
I
Marty
don't even,
Friedman didn't play Mega. That's pretty great.
did not play a Megadeth riff. I don't even remember what band it was, but it was some, like Pearl Jam type style band that he decided just to play this little riff. And then meanwhile, Paul Gilbert's like tearing it up, shredding all kinds of, he's doing like Metallica and Anthrax and this and that and everything. And Marty's just, not doing metal at all. And I always found that was very, very telling, which explains a lot of this. Anyway, that's a long into how the music style changed, and I'm just not a big fan of it. This song, I gave this one a 7.5.
7.5. All right.
Yeah, it's just not something I'll enjoy listening to.
I'll allow that.
Yeah.
Okay. Next song is Megadeth, "I'll Be There" from Risk, 1999.
Yeah.
And they definitely did not party like it was that year.
No.
Okay, the opening to this song sounds like it came straight out of a Zelda game.
Thank you.
It sounds exactly like fucking, Link is fucking going around.
Here's my first note. Like 8 seconds in, I stopped it and said, "Did we enter an 8-bit video game or something?"
Man, totally symbiotic on that. The song is okay. Let me say this for this song. The song was on the popular Megadeth live album That One Night, which was recorded in Argentina. And I can tell you without hesitation that it sounds a lot better live than it does on the studio version.
Mm-hmm.
Risk is widely shit on as the worst Megadeth album. And I have to agree.
Yeah.
But I still say it's better than Hardwired to Self-Destruct. Because Hardwired to Self-Destruct is fucking awful.
It's better than Saint Anger for sure.
Yeah, okay, so the that part that they do, that's a crowd participation part. I can tell you that from that one night that they do that. All right, Risk is the 8th studio album by American thrash metal band Megadeth, released on August 31st, 1999, which is probably I was going into Ohio State at that time, by Capitol Records. The band's last album to be released by the label, the first Megadeth album since 1990 to feature a lineup change at drummer. Risk marks the studio debut of drummer Jimmy DeGrasso with the band, as well as the final appearance of longtime guitarist Marty Friedman, who announces his departure a year later. Meant to be a breakthrough on alternative rock radio. Why? Risk received mixed response because of the great deviation from the band's traditional sound. The backlash ultimately resulted in the band returning towards the heavier sound. This next album, shocker, you alienate all your fans, and they're going to say, "What the fuck?"
Yep.
Anyway, I'll Be There. I give a 6.5. Trevor.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read repeatedly in various sources where both Dave and Marty both admitted to how Marty was really the one pushing for this type of sound for this album, and Dave was trying to ever since Countdown. Dave was trying to get the other guys in the band more involved in songwriting. He didn't want it to be just the Dave Mustaine show.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if you look at the writing credits from Countdown on through to this album, the writing credits do tend to have more of the other guys, stepping in and having more input in the songwriting process, which probably explains why he is pretty much the only songwriter now. Yeah, he tried it, didn't work. First of all, I think this is where Dave finds Jesus, and it's pretty prevalent and obvious in the lyrics.
Yeah.
This is not my Megadeth, damn it.
Yep.
Where's the hashtag? Hashtag not my Megadeth. It sounds like a better than Ezra song. I don't know how else to put
it. does.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
It's just Megadeth does pop rock. I do not like it. This is Dave's Load album. I don't have any redeeming quality about the song other than the fact that at least they're playing their own instruments. 4.5.
Oh, damn! That might have been your lowest review ever.
Yeah.
All right. Fuck.
No, I've had that before with some of that one of those crappy that crappy Canadian band.
Oh yeah, really. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now moving on, maybe a little bit better here. Megadeth, 1,000 Times Goodbye from The World Needs a Hero, 2001. And this is when I was in like grad school, right? Okay, the opening seems fairly half-assed, and then it goes into what seems like stock Megadeth music. I guess I just cannot really concentrate on the song that seems to be about a breakup where both he and the chick seem really ready to move on, but at the same time, neither of them are ready to move on. It's like he's like, okay, get the fuck out, and then he's like, I'm gonna really miss you, and things are not gonna be the same. Huh?
Yeah.
To me, the only redeeming part of the song is the solo, and it only seems that to be a couple of notes played over and over again on different scales before the end flourish. So even the solo is kind of half-assed, in my opinion. The song takes forever to end, which I think is probably intentional. The World Needs a Hero is the 9th studio album by the American thrash metal band Megadeth, released in May 2001 by Sanctuary Records. After the critical and commercial failure of the previous album, Risk, The World Needs a Hero represented a change back to heavier musical direction. Subsequently, the album charted number 16 on the Billboard Top 200 upon release. I am not a fan of 1,000 Times Goodbye. Basically, it's a dude whining and his chick left him and fucked another guy. I give it a 6.5 Trevor.
Yeah, it's got heavy guitar rhythm. The intro alone runs a full minute. So it takes, not only does it take a while to end, it takes a while to get started.
Yeah.
There's some really good guitar solos throughout the song, like the smaller solos here and there, but they're all overshadowed by the stupid girl talking over top of them. Totally do without that. It's no more Marty Friedman here, obviously. He left after the last album. I don't remember who the guitar player was for this album. Do you have that in front of you?
I do not. I can find it, though. Go ahead.
No big deal. It's good to see Megadeth get back to their metal sound after experimenting with pop rock. But I don't know. The riff of 520 sounded like No Remorse to me a little bit towards the end. Probably the best riff in the song.
Al Pitrelli, by the way.
Al Pitrelli, there you go. Shoots right out of my Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Alice Cooper.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra and Sabotage.
Sabotage, yep.
Yep.
Sebastian Bach.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Bolton. The Oyster Cult.
Good guitar player, he wasn't a good fit for Megadeth though. Anyway, the No Remorse riff I thought was pretty cool. The outro continues on and kind of drags a bit, like you said. It's a decent song, but nothing stands out and jumps out at you. It kind of trudges along, and really don't like like you said, the overtone, the overdubs with the girl talking and everything.
Yep.
Did not like it at all. Interestingly enough, this is the last album that Megadeth recorded before Dave Mustaine suffered his arm injury in 2002, which led to him disbanding the band, and Megadeth was temporarily completely gone, disbanded, not knowing if he'd be able to play guitar again. Of course,
thank God he came back.
He was able to come back from that injury and put the band back together. But this also, that time period is what led to the temporary split between him and Dave Ellefson also. So they kind of had a falling out for a few years following this album and the subsequent band hiatus. I give this one 7.0. It's just kind of blah.
All right. Our next Megadeth and our final Megadeth song this week is from The System Has Failed, released in 2004. And yeah, this is a song called Die Dead Enough.
Mm-hmm.
The opening has this atmospheric feel to it, as if they were revving up an orchestra. And then Mustaine's vocals take you right down into the gutter. The chorus to this song is pretty awful. I hate the effects that they put on Mustaine's voice. Mustaine's voice does not need effects, period. ever. I think that's all my original notes on this. The System Has Failed is the 10th studio album by the thrash metal band Megadeth, released September 14th, 2004. It was the band's second and final studio album distributed by Sanctuary Records. System Has Failed, and you know what? It sounds a lot. Those two albums, World Needs a Hero and System Has Failed, sound a lot similar.
Yeah.
It was the band said blah blah. First album release after Mustaine recovered from his arm injury sustained in 2002 was prevented from him from playing guitar.
Yep.
Also, the first of the 3 Megadeth records not to include original bassist and co-founder Dave Ellison. See that? You set him up, I knocked him down.
There you go.
Instead, the album features sessions players, including former Megadeth guitarist Chris Poland on the guitar. However, Poland only provided lead guitar parts and solos on a contractual basis and did not rejoin the band. You know, it's pretty bad when you have session players on your album.
Yeah.
To date, it is the only Megadeth album where the only certified member of the band is Mustaine. So it was Mustaine and some session players.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And it shows. I get died dead enough for 7.0.
Yeah. This is where Dave, like we said, just talked about, Dave returns from his injury on this one. Originally, this was going to be put out as a solo album. Dave did not have, when he wrote this album, he did not intend for this to be a Megadeth album. That's why
he should have put it out as a solo album.
That's why you have the session players. I think the record company convinced him to go ahead and make it a full-fledged Megadeth album.
I wonder why.
Yeah, but originally it was going to be, he was just going to do it as a solo album. So he did bring Chris Poland back on lead guitar, but like you said, that was simply for the recording only. He was never intended to tour with the band. And then I don't even know who he has on bass or drums for the album, but they're, like you said, they're session players. So after the recording of the album, he had to put together like an actual touring lineup, which is what led to, I can't remember the guy's name. It was 2 brothers on guitar and drums for the next album. Anyway, I guess it's a good solid, it's a decent solid song on a decent solid album, but like I said, very similar to the previous album. It's solid, but nothing stands out, you know, nothing jumps out, nothing's like great. It's just kind of there. You can't hold up against the classics from the late 80s and early 90s. But it was good to have Dave and company back because the world definitely needs more Megadeth. And eventually,
that could be an album title.
The world needs more Megadeth.
The world definitely needs more Megadeth.
Yeah, that'd be a good album title. So I'm glad he came back from his injury. I'm glad he was able to continue Megadeth because eventually we got Dystopia from it. So there you go. For this song, 7.5.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we were pretty much of one mind, pretty much out this entire thing here.
Pretty much. So I think the one song we had a
little bit of variance, but you hated it more than I hated it, I guess. And really, the only reason I gave it a little bit of a break was because of the crowd participation. So I've never heard that one. I've never heard that one live, so that might change my opinion if I do hear it live. But yeah, it's like they like at the end of the song they just do that thing for a while.
Yeah.
So anyway, on to our final segment, which we're going to do a top 5, and we've done some pretty bizarre top 5s as of late. We probably need to run out of ideas. And our top 5 this week is fictional vehicles, and obviously, I mean fictional in the sense that they're from fictional shows, not that they don't actually exist in some manner. My number 5 is the AT-AT, or the AT-AT.
The AT-AT.
The AT-AT, and apparently it is actually called the AT-AT and not the AT-AT.
Yeah.
So it is the AT-AT because like that whole scene from the Hoth where they're coming down through they're like, we have walkers on the ridge, and you look into the binoculars and see the 8, and you're like, holy fuck. And it is probably the absolute most idiotic idea for military vehicle ever because it's totally unworkable in real life, but the fear factor of it's just them just like slowly lumbering toward you. You're like, fuck.
It's completely impractical, but it's so very Nazi.
It's visceral, yeah.
you know, because that's kind of the German, the whole idea with a lot of Germany came out with a lot of just really impractical ideas for weapons, but the shock value is what they were going after, you know,
Yeah,
bigger
right.
just for shock, and that's kind of what that reminds me of.
Like the Mouse tank that was so big that there was only like 2 bridges in all of Germany it could go over.
Yeah, and or that big giant rail cannon that they had to stick on they had to put it on a railway
The Gustav.
to move it, and then it was so big that they had to build a special engine just to move it.
The Gustav and the Big Bertha. Those two, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, AT-AT is my number 5. Dreadwimp.
Number 5. I don't know what that is. Kit from Knight Rider.
Fucking A.
I mean, it's first of all, the car looks awesome by itself. It's an awesome looking car to begin with, but then it talks. I mean, who doesn't want a talking car?
In an English accent, no less.
I know. And
yeah, I thought you were going to say something about Hasselhoff's buttery pectoral muscles.
No, I definitely want it sterilized after he's been in it.
That's good stuff. All right, my number 4 is General Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Who as a kid does not remember the General Lee in fucking mid-jump over some fucking hay bales, and they stop it, and I can't believe Kenny Rogers, who did the little interim thing there?
No. Oh, shit. Oh, I could have told you if you wouldn't ask me. His name went right out of my head. Waylon Jennings.
Oh, yeah. But Kenny Rogers did the opening theme, though, right?
No, it's Waylon Jennings.
That's too. Oh, my God,
yeah, that's it. Waylon Jennings does the song, and he's also the narrator.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, you know, just like the amount of cars that they just destroy. I saw a picture one time of, like, there was a parking lot. And there must have been at least 200 General Lees there, just in various states of disrepair. It was like all the stunts they did on that show. So General Lee's my number 4.
Used to love that car, and then the doors being welded shut, so you had to
slide in. Yeah.
That's great.
Totally stupid, because like, what's that going to help you with?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, number 4 for me. I'm gonna go with the Klingon Bird of Prey.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah, I've always loved the ship design and just the way it looks.
All right.
That's cool.
My number 3 is Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters.
Cool.
Yeah, because it's almost like the Blues Brothers car, except like way cooler. Because it's got all the like bells. It literally has all the bells and whistles on it, right? Like all the sirens and shit.
Yep.
So yeah.
Just needs new brakes, shocks, front end.
Yeah. That's what happens when you take an old. Was it like an old hearse or an ambulance?
Yeah, it was an old hearse. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Ecto-1 is my number 3.
Number 3 for me. Going back and forth between these two. I think I'm gonna go with, for number 3, the X-Wing from Star Wars.
Oh. All right. Seems like our list here is a little Star Wars heavy. All right. My number 2 is, and not only is it because it's a cool looking car to start with, because you know the stainless steel exterior, but it's also in a couple of really good movies, and the way that they like fixed it up and everything. My number 2 is the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the doors that open sideways like that, you're already off to a good start, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's just too bad that, like, you know, I think his name is John DeLorean. Maybe, is that what his name was? Too bad that guy was like a total scumbag.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, the DeLorean from Back to the Future is my number 2.
Very cool. I almost picked that one. That was a almost for me. Number 2 for me, I'm gonna go with the VF-1 Valkyrie.
Ooh. Which
Robotech.
one? Which one? Or just them in general?
Just them in general, yeah. Okay. I don't have a
specific. My favorite of the VFs or the VF-1s are the VF-1S with the 4 head cannons.
Yeah, that would probably be mine too.
That's
the one that the Jetfire model, the original Jetfire.
Yeah, that's the VF-1S, and that's the Roy Flocker model. And actually, those are like the most iconic ones, but they were also really supposed to be the most rare ones because they took the most to manufacture them. And you had to be a lieutenant commander in order to fly one of those if you actually like read the background to it.
Interesting.
Yeah, really, like most of the officers had the VF-1.
Okay.
VF-1Ds, which are the 2 head lasers.
Okay.
So yeah, my number 1 is Knight Rider. his kit,
Hey.
his kit, because like somebody was saying, it just looks awesome. It's got the fucking little lights goes back and forth, and it's got the talking it does, and like the inside, which has got all the totally dumb controls.
Yeah.
So 80s.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have to go with the honorable mention to the A-Team band.
Yeah.
It didn't really do anything special except the iconic like red stripe. So, what is your number one?
And the little spoiler on top.
Yep, which totally on a van. A spoiler on a van.
Yeah, no, completely useless. My number one is going to be Street Hawk motorbike.
Oh, dude, totally.
I love motorbikes to begin with, and then to have basically a motorbike version of Knight Rider.
Yep.
Basically what it was, except it didn't talk or anything, but I mean, still, it had all the gadgets and everything on it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that show, and I love that bike.
I also love motorcycles, but I also like want to live, so I can never justify ever getting a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, well that wraps it up for our reviews, and it wraps it up for our little top 5. We're going to our Dreadwin's favorite part of Hangar 18, where I'm going to go ahead and plug some stuff. This Sunday, the 10th, I will be at Columbus Toy Show as Cobra Trooper. And by then, I'll have a new balaclava, so I won't have it like rolled around like my face stupidly. And the weekend after that, it's going to be the big one. We will be at Cincinnati Comic Expo. We'll actually have a table there, and that's a pretty big one. Stan Lee's going to be at it and everything, so it should be all right. So that's what I'm doing.
He was at Dragon Con. Did you get to see him?
I did not get to see him, but I did get to see Larry Hama.
Cool. Of
Wolverine and or the Warriors and of course G.I. Joe fame.
Yep.
So I actually went to a panel with him talking, and the panel was pretty funny because this guy had like his like panel assistant guy. He had 2 pages worth of questions, and he asked the first question, and Larry just went into like this long story. That was the panel.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about Larry Elmore was there too?
Yeah, I saw Larry Elmore walk, but I already have a bunch of stuff signed by Larry Elmore. So I just like walked by his booth. I didn't really stop or anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I did see him.
Cool.
He's one of my favorite artists too, by the way, Larry Elmore.
Yeah, me too.
You have anything going on?
Nope. Well, tomorrow's my birthday. Other than that.
Hey, well, happy birthday, man! I didn't know that. What are you like? 40, 49, 50?
No, not quite that old.
All right. Well, you're still pretty old, you fucking old bastard. All right. So anyway, hey, thanks everybody for listening, and as always, fucking horns up, Dreadwin.
Stay metal.
All right, now we're gonna go ahead and shut it off and wait for the 5 seconds it takes.